Hello and welcome back. I'm Lori Cooch, and today I want to try a watercolor stamping technique, and I'm using the Stampin' Thin Cut for Textured Leaves, and it is available. It is $38.95 for the set, and it is such a beautiful set that it's pretty versatile for a lot of things. So this is what it is. So what I have done first is I have cut a piece of our watercolor, watercolor paper by 5.5 by 5.5, and I'm just going to do some random stamping on it. And I'm going to use the stamping platform because I'm going to do some watercolor effects with it. And I've got ink all over this. So this is going to go on a card front. I haven't decided what sentiment I'm going to use yet, but that's okay. So I'm going to start with this. Looks like, is that a maple leaf? I do not know. And I'm just going to put it on and then pick it up with my stamping platform. Now, here's some tips. You're going to need a very fine mist spray. And this, honestly, I purchased this in the little travel section at the Safeway and dumped out the scent that was in there, rinsed it all out and put water in it because it has a super fine mist. So there's a cheat. So I'm going to start with our light color that I'm going to use. I'm going to use Willow, and I'm going to stamp or put ink on the whole image. And I have found that if you put another block underneath there, it gives it a nice cushion. Okay, now I am going to spritz it with the water. The more water you use, the more watercolor effect you're going to get. It's going to be wet. So now I'm just drying it off, and I'm going to put the avocado, I don't know if you can see this, bring it over, on the edges. I got some fuzz on there. Just kind of around on the sides, not on the whole stamp. And I'm going to put a bunch on the stem so it will be dark. Keep a tissue by, because if you're like me, you get it everywhere. Again, I'm going to spritz it. See how you got a little bit darker? Oh, it's right here. I have my old style stamp scrubber. So now I'm going to switch out my leaf. Maybe do some smaller ones since it is a card. this one. And I'm going to do 2 at a time because I can. Now I'm going to start with the avocado. I'm going to just stamp them both. I'm going to spritz them. Oh, there's still some smell in there. And you're gonna get these little puddles of water. That is okay. Just take a rag, straight down and straight up. Gives it that watercolor effect. Now I'm gonna use the rosemary that's underneath here. So I'm gonna switch that out with the willow. Kind of just do part of each stamp. My paper's still pretty wet, so I'm not going to spritz that too much. And I'm going to come back in with the avocado because I want a little bit more definition there. Watercolor paper is very forgiving. Oh, I love how that looks. Okay. And maybe we'll do one more. I don't think we're going to get the big one on there. But no, won't get the big one, but we can get this one. And I prefer, I mean, I like this. You know what, let's just stay with willow, but we're going to do willow and rosemary this time. So you always start with your lighter color and then come in with the dark. The more you spritz it, the more of the watercolor effect you're going to get. I don't know if I said that already. Then we'll come back with the rosemary. It is important to have the watercolor paper for this technique And I will put, oh, forgot to spritz it. And I will put a link to this in the description below. And if you don't have one of these cool stamping platforms, Close to My Heart does have them. Let me look up real quick, because I can't remember. Well, I'll figure it out. I will put a link to that below as well, instead of trying to look it up right now. I'm getting fuzzies all over my stamp. And I'm going to hit it with the willow one more time. And just a little bit of spritzing, because our paper's pretty wet. Look at those effects. Love it. Okay, now we're gonna thin cut them. So we can take them off of here. Grab my platforms. Now, normally I would thin cut and then stamp, but with this technique and using the stamping platform, it's a little bit harder to do that. So what I'm going to do is grab some washi tape, and I'm going to tape each thin cut where I want it to stay. Not a new technique, just a hack. I always have the heck of a time getting these out of here. Here it comes. Okay, so I think we did this one. Yep. And I just use washi tape because it will come right off of my stamped image and not cause any problems. And I can cut all these all at the same time. And I have this one. And this one. Make room on my messy desk. And mine is bent, standard, so I'm going to put it with the curved side down so that my dies get more pressure, and run it through. Now before I take anything, oh, that one already is out. Just gonna make sure everything cut, and it did. Just drop those on the floor. Oh, it's right there on my sweater. So there are our watercolor stamped images. So next, I need a card base. And so you can prop these. They're still a little damp. You can put them with some 3D foam tape or different things. Well, 3D foam tape is going to give it your dimension, but I love me some Distress Oxide ink, so let's throw that in there as well. So let's brighten it up with some Abandoned Coral and some Tattered Rose, just to give it a little pop of different colors. When using the Distress inks, always want to put down your all-purpose mat so you don't get ink all over everything you're working on. And I'm going to keep my card folded so that I don't get it on the back. And then on the bottom of each of my things, I have just added a piece of Velcro so that my blending tools are right with them. Now I'm going to start with the Tattered Rose. It's the lighter color. And I am just going to kind of blend the whole card up. If you like white, you can leave it with the white. To me, white is intimidating. But white also gives a nice clean look. And then I'm going to lightly come in with the Abandoned Coral and just kind of add touches of color, kind of like blush. There. So now it's not just stark white and super intimidating to me. I'm going to grab some of our 3D foam tape. And these are just scraps of foam tape that I had left over from Shaker Cards. We do sell 3D foam tape in a roll. I will put links to that below. That one I won't pop up. I need to think up a sentiment I want to put on here. That could fit right in there. What do I have here on my desk? Okay, grabbed a stamp set, and I'm going to do the Just Because from the Happy to Be Friends sentiment stamp. I don't think that one is still available. Let me look. C1605. Nope, this stamp set's not available any longer, but we have plenty of other sentiment stamp sets that you could use. And I'm going to stamp this in the rosemary. If you followed any of my videos, you know I like simple, simple, simple. And if I can find it real quick right here, I will throw some embellishing thread on there, but I don't think I'm seeing it. Oh, it's right there. It's all knotted up. I'm just going to cut some. And I'm going to just kind of wrap it around my fingers and then stick it underneath and let it spread out. So it's going to stick. I'm going to stick some adhesive down there. Not that one. I've lost my adhesive, you guys. You lose stuff on your desk as often as it's right there. Often as I do. If you could see the rest of my desk, you would be appalled. It is filthy, filthy, filthy. So I'm going to start with the big leaf, because that one is popped up. And then I'm going to put the little leaf, or littler leaf, kind of underneath it like so. And this one was popped up. So there we have it. Using watercolor, some embellishing thread, and our Distress Oxides. That is all I did. I used rosemary, willow, and avocado inks. Like I said, I will put links to everything below. If you like this video, if you want to be notified when I post more, please click that subscribe button. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just comment below and I will be sure to answer them as quickly as I possibly can. Have a good night.